Welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. I'm back from my Christmas break and looking forward to 2022 making more content around Sorare. Thank you so much to everyone who's liked, commented or subscribed to the channel so far. Your feedback and support has been amazing, so thank you. Today we're going to take a snapshot of the overall gallery and reflect on the last few game weeks which have been relatively quiet SO5 wise. And we're also going to take a look at some cards that have risen significantly in value over the last few weeks and discuss what might be happening there with the booming prices of those players. If you like this type of content, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's start off by taking a look at how the gallery is sitting since the first episode of the series 3 weeks ago. So the main figures to look at immediately are the latest overall valuation, which I'm sure you've noticed has risen to approximately 3.66 ETH, up from 3.13 in the first episode. That's due to both the number of rewards I've won, but mainly due to the rise in prices for most of the cards I own, particularly the ones I'm going to discuss soon. So that's a rise of about half an ETH, or roughly $2,000 or 1,700 euros at the time of recording. I'm sitting at 57 total cards, up from 54, 13 rewards up from 9, and 41.94% of reward winning lineups, up from 40.91% a few weeks ago. So all pretty positive so far. It's nice to see the club progressing in the right direction and that the strategy has been somewhat fruitful. If we take a look at some of the key game weeks since we last spoke, from game week 226 onwards, I scraped a tier 3 reward from the U23 in 226, nothing from game week 227, a tier 2 from Champion Europe in game week 228, and a tier 3 from U23 which I won by just one place, coming 500th when the top 500 places were giving out cards. That karma was swiftly restored in game week 222 where I missed out on a tier 2 reward in the same division by a single place again and 0.14 points, and since then I've had no eligible lineups in 230 or 231. I have one lineup in the current 232 game week which I'm not too confident in as Real have just lost to Getafe, and I had Benzema as my captain. But looking at the rewards won, we're currently looking at a total valuation of 0.13 ETH, up from 0.09 in the first episode, and that's largely down to the tier 2 we won in game week 228. Frankfurt midfielder Jesper Lindstrom, who actually sold on for 0.027, about $100 or 90 euros, as well as two other Bundesliga players to facilitate the moves for the dual La Liga defensive signings of Pau Torres and Diego Carlos. Santiago Simon was a tier 3 reward which I was actually happy with, as he's 18 years old and has been playing fairly regularly at the tail end of the season for River Plate. He's currently only valued at 0.011, but for a tier 3 limited card playing in South America, that's not too shabby at all. Definitely one to keep an eye on. So that's a look at a fairly quiet end to December on Sorare. I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to games picking back up moving into the new year and leagues starting back up again over the next few weeks. I know I am. And speaking of leagues starting again, let's take a more detailed look at some specific cards that I actually mentioned in my first video and analyze perhaps why these cards are booming in price and helping my gallery value rise as a result. I'm talking of course about Asian and American cards currently in their off seasons and therefore no use in SO5 until they start back up in a month or two. Speaking from a personal point of view, once I'd settled into a gallery of mainly top tier European U23 players at the end of November and beginning of December, I started to look at expanding my SO5 reach and put out a post on Twitter asking for help with the Asian division. I knew the season was coming to a close and presumed that cards would decrease or be low in value given the fact they wouldn't be having any utility for a few months. Now there are a number of really great Asian football experts out there on Twitter and Discord etc, but massive shout out to @SoRareStrawHats who gave me a detailed breakdown of teams and a number of players I should be looking at. After doing some cross-referencing and research of my own, I felt comfortable with picking up some cards I knew would be competitive going into the new season. The only question was, when should I pick them up? Surely the off season would be the perfect time. Well, it turns out when you're trading or buying cards, sometimes you have to second guess the market and ask yourself, if I'm thinking that, surely a whole bunch of managers are also thinking that. So I went with my gut feeling and actually put a bunch of offers on the very last game week of the Asian and MLS seasons, making sure I picked up a number of targets I'd analysed in each position across those divisions. And the gut feeling has paid off so well that some of the cards I've picked up have now doubled or tripled in value since, almost making me want to sell, take those profits like any good trader. But before we discuss why perhaps I won't sell these cards just yet, let's look at some of the specific cards, why I picked them up, what I picked them up for, and what they're worth currently. So let's filter my gallery by Champion America and Champion Asia and go through each position. And of course all these cards are their limited versions. I still don't own any rare cards. So for goalkeepers, in the MLS I picked up William Yarbrough from the Colorado Rapids, 34 games played last season, 13 clean sheets, 3.2 saves per game. I picked him up for 0.023 on December 7th, and his average sale price today is 0.039, an increase of about $60. In the J League, I picked up Aussie Mitchell Langerak on auction for 0.021. He's now selling for double that at around 0.044. 38 games played for Nagoya Grampus last season, 21 clean sheets, 2.2 saves per game, a really solid keeper in the division. I also picked up U23 keeper Kazuki Osako for 0.015, he's now 0.028. He began last season as a regular starter and may well be again this upcoming year. It's more a speculation, but given I already own a solid Asian keeper in Langerak, Osako provides cover as a cheap option in Asia and U23 should any issues arise there. Not too worried about his value either way, he's one I can keep or sell depending on what happens in the future. Moving to defense, and here I picked up some interesting options, the first being Mickey Yamain from Champions Kawasaki Frontale for 0.033, 2 goals, 12 assists and 15 clean sheets from 37 games played last season. I fully expect this guy to continue being a broken SO5 scorer next season, and his average price has already risen to 0.057 since the beginning of December, and in fact his best price on the current market is 0.08. I also picked up another high scorer, albeit an injured one, in Shinazuki Hatanaka from Marinos for 0.21. His SO5 numbers are crazy, so I can either play him or sell him on for a profit when the time comes. In the MLS, I picked up Miles Robinson and Kai Wagner, both solid options and scorers. Again, I don't have too much attachment to these players, so playing them or selling them on for the right price won't be an issue. Now I want to talk about 3 pickups I made from Kashima Antlers. All 3 have U23 utility and are an exciting stack to have given their playing potential and potential increase in value. And apologies if I'm butchering these names and pronunciations, but Kyogo Tsunomoto, Ryotaro Araki, and Iwasa Ueda from Antlers were all purchased for a combined 0.031 ETH, which is just under $120, and now their combined value pre-season sits at 0.071, which is $270. Now the trader in me sees profits like this and says, you know what, sell those cards and realize the profit. The smart thing to do is sell when everyone else is buying and vice versa. But when I think about how many game weeks of utility and potential yield that can be generated from some of these kind of cards combined with their continued value, I actually think that outweighs the profit generated in the short term. So even if this pre-season hype surrounding these cards wanes and prices dip when the new season gets started and new cards are minted, which I fully suspect may happen, I'll still be able to liquidate the cards in the worst case scenario and benefit from potential rewards in the longer term. Moving to the midfield, and I want to highlight these 2 SO5 beasts from the MLS and J League respectively, and that's Albert Rosnak and Sho Inagaki. Rosnak was purchased for 0.018 with his average now being 0.041 and the best on the market way up at 0.90. Inagaki was a member of the J League team of the season last year and has risen to 0.035 from the 0.016 I paid, so he's doubled in price. Up front, I've stuck with my successful formula of established big scorers and solid U23 prospects by picking up Gustavo Bu and Jesus Ferreira from the MLS, as well as starting U23 striker Ogashiwa from Sapporo for almost nothing. Bu had a combined 23 goals and assists in 31 games last season and has doubled in value from 0.021 to 0.043. Ferreira is U23 eligible until 2025 and is one of the brightest young talents in the MLS, with some consistently high SO5 scores already last season. He's also doubled in price from 0.03 to 0.06. Like I said, over the last few days I've been having some serious discussions with myself about whether I should be realizing these profits and selling these cards on for double the price I paid just a month ago. However, when I sat down and crunched the numbers, I worked out I'd invested roughly a quarter of an ETH into these Asian and MLS cards, and if I sold all of them at the current market averages, I would take back a total of about half an ETH, so a quarter of an ETH's profit. Is that 0.25 or $1,000 worth the opportunity cost of 6 months to a year's worth of utility? Combined with the value of the same cards, shouldn't you simply hold and sell them on during a similar boom this time next year? Maybe, maybe not. I'm undecided. Even as I ponder it now, I'm thinking I could liquidate these cards, take the profit, sell my Benzema, and go out and buy an Erling Haaland and be set. What would you do? Let me know in the comments. Would you sell into the hype and reinvest elsewhere? Or would you play these cards that are almost guaranteed to be competitive in multiple SO5 divisions for a fair few months and reap the yields that they will generate? Some food for thought, so let me know what you think. I'll leave it there for now. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or comments concerning your own SO5 journeys. I'm really looking forward to the year ahead on this game and with the community surrounding it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all again soon.